a documentary I saw that mentioned John Dingell in 1954 as the representative of Flat Rock. And I'm from the Flat Rock area, and I was just stunned. I didn't realize they'd been there that long. It's time.
82 years. Come on, it was the father. I think father started serving in like the early 1930s, and then John took over in the mid 50s, and then Debbie in her last 2 years. So I just left the Ann Arbor IPSI Black Chamber of Commerce, an opportunity to go through a candidate forum there. But we're making some great dent, and so appreciate you teaming with us.
Great. Well, Jeff, good luck to you, and I'll give a shout-out to any of my downriver friends and family. Make sure you vote for Jeff Jones.
Thanks a lot.
All right, take care. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, bye.
All right, so, I'm a downriver guy, man, and if you're a union guy and you're following the union rules, don't. Because you know what? They're going to ruin your lifestyle even more. There's not a union guy in Detroit or downriver who should be voting Democratic.
I'm downriver. I'm downriver for years, and you go from Delray to Wyandotte until you get to Wyandotte. It's such decay.
Yeah.
My grandparents lived right off of Jefferson in Ecorse, and it just looks like some bombed out third world.
Yeah, there used to be the Vulcan Steel, the one he was talking about, Trent. I think that was the Vulcan Steel Mill, maybe, as I recall.
There was McLouth.
McLouth, that was it,
yes.
Vulcan. McLouth.
My brother worked at McLouth.
And I used to lit up the sky. That was, you'd be out in the evening in the backyard, and the sky would light up. They were pouring the steel, and that was a great plant. And then, gone, thanks, NAFTA, we're done, you know. So terrible, terrible stuff. Well, the media also jumped on Trump for his last final question, and I thought this was kind of a sandbag because they didn't ask it of Hillary. He asked it of Trump. Are you going to concede the election if you lose? And Trump, of course, kind of pulled one of his Trumpisms. Instead of rationalizing why he would not say so, he said, I'll wait and keep you in suspense. And everyone got up thinking, Donald Trump's going to start an insurrection if he loses. No. Donald Trump is not going to start an insurrection, but he's going to certainly do what other candidates have done in the past. If there is as much illegal voting and fraud in the election as we think there is, because there are some reports that there was 4 million fraudulent or illegal votes in 2012, right?
Ruth, our Secretary of State,
Johnson
says we have 105% voting registrations in this state.
Right.
And she's been narrowing them down since she's gotten in. But, where do you get 105% of the population registered to vote?
Right. Well, there was another report, and I put it up on the Daily Drift last week, I think. 1.9 million people, dead people, are still on voter rolls. That's 2 million votes, right?
The joke was Grandpa was a Republican until he died.
That's right. 1.9. So there's a very good possibility that there could be anywhere between 2 and 5 million votes. Romney lost, I think, by 5 million votes last time. Wasn't that it?
3, I think.
All right, maybe 3. Well, if there was 2 million
supposedly it was the 3 million evangelicals who wouldn't support him.
Yeah,
Ken.
Or the 2 million dead people, because we all know dead people vote Democratic, right?
Yep.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But Derek, we have track 4 ready. Just to take it back, Al Gore didn't concede his election either. Listen to Al Gore in a press conference. This is a week, I think, after the initial election, and everything hit the fan because of the hanging chads and everything else. So let's listen to track 4.
Vice President, you said last week that you thought your chances were 50-50.
Yeah, I'll stay with that. I'll stay with that.
Even after the court rulings that have gone against you consistently the past 3 or 4 days?
Well, I think the U.S. Supreme Court ruling was neutral, may have even been slightly favorable to us in the sense that it gave a clear roadmap to the Florida Supreme Court. But those are things that the lawyers can tell you more about than I can. I just don't want to accept your premise that they've all been negative. I don't think the U.S. Supreme Court decision was negative. And as for the other decision yesterday, everybody knew from the start that was going to be ultimately decided by the Florida Supreme Court.
All right, so Al Gore didn't concede. Weeks and weeks that went. He took it all the way to the Supreme Court.
If I recall, Al Gore conceded and then took back his concession.
That's exactly right. And, you can't blame Trump for saying, I'm not going to just concede. Mm-hmm. I want to know if there's 2 million dead people voting for Hillary Clinton and that through the election, or 3 or 4 million illegals who are voting. Because you know what? That's happening. They've already found it in Colorado, Virginia, Florida, dead people and illegals being registered to vote.
It would be ridiculous to think that Donald Trump may lead an armed insurrection because he didn't like the What are they trying to portray? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Let's go back to 2004, right? Here's some thoughts on John Kerry, who wanted and called that election rigged. You got track 5 ready? Let's listen to this.
A profile of Secretary of State John Kerry published Sunday in The New Yorker reveals that 11 years after his election loss to George W. Bush in 2004, Kerry still believes he was robbed via systematic fraud. The article itself, written by David Remnick, focuses mostly on Kerry's efforts to achieve peace and democracy in the Middle East, but it also dwells extensively on his presidential defeat more than a decade ago. In 2004, when Kerry lost the presidential race to George W. Bush, who is widely considered the worst president of the modern era, he refused to challenge the results, despite his suspicion that in certain states, particularly Ohio, where the Electoral College count hinged, proxies for Bush had rigged many voting machines, Remnick writes.
All right, so this is not anything new about presidential contenders contesting or not conceding in, at least immediately. And you're right. They want to make it look like Trump's going to lead the armed insurrection against Hillary if she somehow wins. Well, bull. Because you know what? Here, they should have asked Hillary that, because you know what's going to happen. If Donald Trump wins, you're going to see violence across the nation as the Black Lives Matter people and these paid Soros people go out and start demonstrating and burning buildings and calling the election rigged. But they didn't ask it of Hillary. They just asked it of Donald Trump to try and make him look bad.
Yeah. And you reminded me, when you say that, you reminded me of the paid demonstrators that we recently saw in the
videos.
Veritas videos.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that gets glossed.
And if you haven't seen them, go to thedailydrift.com. I got them on there a couple days ago. Let's take a quick call from Joe before we run out of time. Joe from Wyandotte, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks. Heard Ed mention me about talking about signs earlier in the day, and I think it was Ed that mentioned about the signs being vandalized, or wasn't sure if that was you or somebody else. But
probably different, Ed. He's shaking his head at me.
Been. But, I mean, Jeff's running into that, too. His signs are being stolen and not taken down. He's trying to put some back up. But Dingell just seems to be not even contesting this election. She's overconfident. And we have a chance to pull off an upset in this district because it's such a strange election cycle. We only need a few Democrats to vote that worker party like Jeff was talking about, or a few to just sit home, or in just a few more to cross over, because those are two-for votes. Every vote that goes away from the Democrat, that's one less for them and one more for us. It's like a twofer.
Yeah, you got it.
If you've got a location where we could put up a 4x6 sign, please go to jeffjonesforcongress.com. Click the contact button. Let us know the great location where we can put up those 4x6s and help us get this election.
All right, you got it. Well, thanks for the call, Joe, and we will see you guys next week. Until then, go to thedailydrift.com and get the news you need to know.
Have a blessed day.
See you.